Australian Aviation Podcast, the official podcast of Australian Aviation, unpacking the latest insights, developments and issues impacting Australia's aviation sector.
Hello and welcome to the Australian Aviation Podcast, now no longer on location in Honolulu. I am your host, Jake Nelson, and joining me once again this week is my co-host, the Deputy Editor of Cyber Daily and three-time winner of Least Likely to Win an Award at the Australian Aviation Awards, David
Didn't
Hollingworth.
see that coming at all. I was shocked. I was as shocked as anyone.
Yeah, 3 times in a row.
Who knew? It's a hat trick.
It's very impressive.
It must be some kind of world record for winning awards when you're not meant to win an award. I got nothing.
We'll unpack that later.
We will, yes.
But wait, we are back in the studio this week. I am no longer on location.
How was Honolulu?
Honolulu was fabulous. You know, again,
The air was very still. Like that,
very. The world's most.
That shot out your hotel window. I just didn't see the air moving at all.
The world's most stationary palm trees. As
the
I
waves
said.
were still. Like I've never seen the sea becalmed like that.
No, it was eerie, frankly. But I am recovered from my trip to Honolulu, and back here in the studio.
But you have also been elsewhere, haven't you?
I have also been elsewhere, and we'll get to that in a moment. We do have, for those of you who are model plane enthusiasts, and who isn't, a couple of additions to the Australian aviation fleet here. Now, this one is a bit of aviation history, actually. This is a Rex 737-800. You can actually still buy these from the Rex collection
But can you
online.
actually still fly those?
You cannot fly them, but you can buy them. They are still selling these on the Rex collection website. I think this one was about $15 plus shipping.
May I make zoomies?
Oh, you can make zoomies if you like.
Yay, zoomies.
So that one there, I mainly ordered it because I wanted to see if I could. And it went through, and they shipped it to me. It did require a bit of back and forth at the post office because Australia Post was getting things wrong and trying to send it to the wrong address, which was why I didn't get a notification. It got sent out, sent back, then sent out again. But there it is. It's got its own little stand there. I think that the connection between the plane and the stand is a little bit wobbly.
But do note that it has a wonderful little brass insert for
it does.
screw.
Yeah,
that's very serious modeling stuff. There, it's a very serious model. I recognize that.
So if you want to get a different stand for that, and now it's on a downward trajectory, the way you've put it there. But a little bit of a shaky connection between the model and its stand. So I don't know if that's a useful metaphor for the unstable foundation that the Rex 737-800 operation was built on.
Who knows?
But yeah, you can still get these, and surprisingly cheap. We also have here, and this is adorable, this little 1/400.
It actually is the cutest aircraft in the fleet, I've got to say.
Yeah, it is this little 1/400 scale model of the new Qantas A321XLR. Now, this is not a specific XLR, but it is the XLR. And we all got this, of course, on the inaugural flight last week while I was in Honolulu and simultaneously on the inaugural flight.
Yes. Amazing of you. God, the commitment.
Yeah, well, that's what we do here at Australian Aviation. We
I'm sorry to just model nerd out. The one thing I like about this is the weight of it. It just has heft.
Oh, yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's like die-cast metal, whereas most of these are sort of mostly
I do like a
plastic.
little heft in the palm.
Yeah, but it's really nice. And so there was we got a little gift bag of things on the inaugural flight as you tend to, and that was among them there.
So how was the flight? What's the aircraft like?
The aircraft, and we'll get into that now because. Our first news item of the week is the first commercial flights of the Qantas A321XLR. Now, this is the future of the Qantas fleet. The plane, obviously, that we flew in was a lot bigger than that one. But this is the future of the Qantas domestic fleet. Not only is it going to be the backbone of the Qantas domestic fleet moving forward as it starts to replace the 737-800s, I think the older ones are going to be phased out first. The older ones are going to be phased out while some of the younger 737-800s are going to be refitted to have a cabin experience similar to what you will get on the XLR.
Gotcha.
So VHOGA and VHOGB last Thursday operated their first commercial flights. There was sort of a media event flight that we were on that went down to Melbourne and back on OGA, while OGB was off to Perth. Sydney, Melbourne, and Sydney, Perth are the two routes that they're going to be initially placed on. But as more planes enter the fleet, then that will be expanded. And I think at least OGA, but possibly the OG Rego numbering line used to belong to 767s back when Qantas flew those.
Old school. Original gangster, you might say.
It's something like not exactly original. I mean, those would be things like Super Connies and
good point.
Even before that, but
close enough.
Yeah, Qantas's famous 767 fleet that used to fly all over the place. Now, this is not only going to be the backbone of the domestic fleet, but it's also going to be, as we've discussed, opening up short haul international routes.
Yeah.
It can fly for a longer distance than the 737, which would enable routes such as, from Perth out to like India or the Maldives or something like that.
Greater fuel capacity, greater efficiency, or
it is,
combination?
It is a lot more efficient than the 737-800. It also, it has, I think it's like several meters longer. It's got capacity for more seats. So there are more seats in this plane. Now, the seat pitch, so the leg room that you'll get in economy is about the same as you'll get on the 737-800. But what this is actually, I think, the widest narrow body in the skies at the moment. And so because of the width of the cabin, the seats can be wider in economy. So you have a bit more elbow room.
Wait, so they're not actually trying to cram more people into the space. They're actually using it to make the space more comfortable.
They're making the space more comfortable.
Shocked, I tell you.
I know. But, I mean, trying to cram 4 people abreast in a narrow body would be a recipe for riots, I think.
Yeah, so what's the seating arrangement like? Is it 1-2?
So in business class, it is 2-2, and in economy, it is 3-3, like you would find on the 737s.
Gotcha.
But the seat pitch is about, as I said, about the same. The seats are wider.
Yeah.
The economy class seats have this sort of really nice sort of cloth backing with a comfy sort of leather headrest. They're nice to sit in.
Yeah.
I didn't get to test out the business class seats, but the economy class seats, among the people in the economy class seats were the CEO Vanessa Hudson. So
it's. It really sucked. You're going on one of these journo trips in an aircraft, and you walk past Vanessa Hudson sitting in the business class seats, sipping champagne, and just like, cool.
No. I think she was back in the economy class seats with us. And
here's a question: do you get frequent flyer points for these trips?
So no, not for these, because these were. This is not sort of an ineligible. This is an ineligible thing. But they did have like this trivia game that we played on the flight back. That basically is like, because this is the A321, they had like 10 questions. You get 321 Qantas points for each question you answer correctly. And I'm
sorry, the idea of trivia on board an aircraft you cannot get out of unless you want to jump out, which is tempting, is special hell.
Well, it was just, fill it out sort of in your own time and they collect the card.
Oh, so it's more like a test. Excellent.
Yeah, and open. They didn't stop us from using the Wi-Fi to fill out the answers. So, but I think it was just mainly a fun way to give out frequent flyer points.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
But it was a nice flight down, a nice flight back. The overhead bins are a lot larger than you would find on the 737.
Okay, that's a plus.
Yeah, so like with the E190 E2 that I flew on the other week, you can basically get everyone's luggage in there. They had demonstrated with sample
luggage
suitcases that they were
stunt suitcases.
Yeah, that they put in all the all the overhead bins, and the passengers got to take home afterwards as a gift, which was nice as Qantas.
Nice, yes.
So there was a demonstration of how deep those bins are. Yeah. It feels a lot less cramped as well than the 737. Like the cabin it feels more spacious. And as is a common theme with all of these aircraft. All of these new aircraft, especially with the geared turbofan engines, it's really quiet. Yeah. So the 737 MAX 8s, the E190 E2s, the A321XLR, it is so good. You cannot hear the engines. Like basically.
So it's the only cabin noise is basically the air conditioning.
The air conditioning and you can hear conversations that are happening around you. So maybe keep your voice down if you're gossiping about other people on the plane. You can talk at normal
volume to the person next to you about whatever the heck you want, and no one else is going to hear it.
Yeah, so
so one thing I did hear about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's like one toilet for 90 seats.
Yeah, so that is one wrinkle in the experience. There there are 3 toilets on board these first couple of planes. 1 is up the front in business and 2 down the back in economy.
Yeah.
And because this plane has more seats, there are more passengers per toilet.
Yeah.
And that's been, the subject of much discussion over the past few weeks. I think these planes these first 2 are going to get refitted eventually.
Yeah.
And starting from the 4th one in the fleet, I believe there will be some seats taken out to add a 3rd toilet. But for passengers, sort of in the meantime on these first couple of planes in economy, it will be
Just hold it in.
Yeah. Yeah, so
it's a good thing they don't do a proper drink service on domestic flights anymore.
Well,
because,
they do have the drink cart going past.
But I mean a proper drink service, i.e. with real drinks. Because back in the day, you could have a wine or a beer or what have you on a domestic flight.
I think you still can.
Oh, not the last few domestic flights I've done. Mind you, that one's down to Canberra. They probably want to keep Barnaby.
Yeah, he'll find a way. But no, I think people were getting things like sort of wine on board the flight. I didn't because
you do not partake.
I do not partake.
Yes.
But it's so these are. These are going to be offering new opportunities in international routes. There's 48 A321XLRs that are on order.
Yeah.
I think 20.
What's the total cost of that?
That's a lot. It's going to be a lot.
Okay, cool. That's the technical term.
Yeah, a shipload.
Yep.
But they've got 48 on order. Now, 16 of these are going to be configured for international, especially, and for Sydney to Perth especially. So they're going to have lie-flat business class, and they're going to have an economy experience that does have the in-flight seat-back entertainment.
Yeah, cool.
Because in the economy class, and across the plane, in business and economy class, there are no screens. There are no seat-back screens. You have to bring your own device and put it in the device
But I mean,
holder.
in those short-haul domestic flights, Sydney, Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne, you just don't have enough time, really.
Yeah,
I've never missed that at all.
You do have the Wi-Fi. You do have the Qantas Wi-Fi, which is the Qantas Fast Free Wi-Fi, which I will give it this is free.
Well, 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi is not fantastic,
Yeah.
but it is Wi-Fi. If you need Wi-Fi, it's there. Just don't expect to be streaming or downloading a lot.
Yeah.
Good for checking emails and things like that.
Perfect for business travelers who do need to stay connected, I imagine.
It was a great day, great trip down, great trip back. I was properly suited up in my N95 mask the whole time.
Yes. Jake and I had a conversation about this morning, and
look, let's just say one of my N95 masks made a heroic sacrifice at one point during the flight, and we're going to leave it at that.
Gotcha. Excellent. I'm sure you all can imagine. Yes.
But look, I would think this is a worthy replacement for the 737. It's a nice plane to fly on.
Yeah.
We actually as well got a little tour of the Great Ocean Road from the sky. So they took us.
I've driven that often, but I'd love to see that coast from the air because it is such a dramatic coastline.
It is amazing from the air.
Yeah.
So we flew down. We flew past Melbourne out to the Great Ocean Road, and we sort of overflew like the 12 Apostles.
What remains of the 12 Apostles?
Of which there are 7.
Yeah. There's funny story. I have somewhere a little old-fashioned Kodak photo. It's about yay big, or old school photograph of me on the Great Ocean Road. Not one of the Apostles, but back then, because I was like 7 years old, with a bowl haircut. It's hilarious. There's used to be a little land bridge.
London Bridge.
Bingo, yes. When I first went there, you could walk across that.
Yeah.
I might have clenched a little because there's no guardrails, and it's only about as wide as this table, and rounded as well, so it's easy to drop off into the ocean. And I remember hearing that had collapsed years ago. And then a few years later, I did a drive along Great Ocean Road and finally saw it, and it was such this weird sense of melancholy.
Yeah.
You go, oh, it's actually gone. I remember telling my partner at the time, I walked over there and did that, and she's like, you crazy old man.
Yeah. So, but we did have a little bit of a tour from the pilot as we flew over the Great Ocean Road, and then we flew back to Melbourne, and we got to see out of both sides the Great Ocean Road and that amazing coastline. All of these planes are being named after rivers, roads, and walks. So it's Great Ocean Road is VHOGA.
Ah, gotcha.
And Outback Way, I think, is OGB.
Nice.
And then they're all going to be named after
That's kind of elegant. I quite like that, actually.
Other things they come in because they're taking you all over the country on these journeys.
Oh, what a story.
So, look, thank you to Qantas for inviting us down there.
You know, as a member of the podcast, maybe I should go on one of these flights sometime. I'm just saying.
Yeah, possibly.
I am technically a part of the team, so, you know.
We would love to have you along.
Excellent.
But thank you to Qantas. Thank you to Vanessa Hudson and Stephen Forshaw for your time in the air. We got to record a couple of interviews. If you haven't seen them on our YouTube channel or on our various video platforms, and our social medias, we did speak to Vanessa Hudson mid-flight, and we spoke to Stephen Forshaw, who is the chief representative for Airbus in the region. So you can find those on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky,
presumably
Threads.
on the website as well.
On the not on the website, but on our socials. We are also now, by the way, on TikTok. So look up.
Yes, I heard you swearing a lot in the office today.
TikTok is. I'm new to TikTok. I'm too millennial for this. I'm not enough of a zoomer to get how TikTok works. But we are on TikTok, so find us on TikTok at Australian Aviation, and you can see all our videos posted there as well.
Momentum, our publisher, has been putting a lot of work and resources into its audio-video production. Hi, AV guy in the background. He's left. You can say anything about them now. But no, we're putting a lot of effort into a lot of that kind of short-form content, and they're doing great work. So absolutely check out what they're doing on TikTok. I imagine it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, it's...
And vaguely informative at the same time.
Yeah, and you can see clips from the podcast on TikTok as well.
We two idiots, yes.
Clips from the podcast on our social media platforms, in case you hadn't had enough of seeing
us.
And
planes. Now, you mentioned Vanessa Hudson.
Yes, and we will get to Vanessa Hudson right after we take our first break.
All right, one break.
So we're going to go for a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about Vanessa Hudson. Back in a moment. All right, welcome back. This is the Australian Aviation Podcast. David, you've been holding that beer for the entire break. I
have. It's been the longest break of my life.
Yeah, so... Vanessa Hudson. Now, this came out last week in the notice about the Qantas AGM. Vanessa Hudson is getting a little bit of a bump in her pay. Her base salary is going from $1.65 million to $1.7 million. But one proposal that's being put forward at the AGM is that Vanessa Hudson be put into signed up to this long-term incentive program, which gives share rights to Qantas executives. Based on performance.
Yeah.
So she is being, if she's not already, she's being sort of added to that. But this is a step that the Qantas board is looking to take. Under this proposal, 80% of these incentive bonuses will be based on sort of a total shareholder return and growth in that. So that is based on the ASX 100 and on a group of other global listed
that's
airlines.
Easily measurable, recordable, figures-based, easy done. Yeah.
The other 20% in this proposal is being based on Qantas's reputation.
I think that's a clever move, honestly. I mean, that gives the CEO skin in the game, effectively, with real repercussions for when stuff goes bad, which, it's like, what would happen in the wake of another cyber attack, for instance.
Or, another ACCC court case.
Or another spate of cancellations where suddenly that brand has been damaged. And so measuring that, I mean, what yardsticks are they going to be using to...
So they're getting this external firm, RepTrack, to measure Qantas's reputation.
I think I can guess what they do.
Yeah, they track rep.
Amazing.
Yeah. Now, see, this is the journalism that you come to the Australian Aviation Podcast
exactly
for.
What you come here for.
But so they have their own presumably arcane and mysterious methods of tracking reputation, which I don't know what they are, but it's boiled down to a figure. So if Qantas has a reputation score with RepTrack of below 70.
Yeah.
Vanessa Hudson is not going to get any of her share rights. None of them will vest, right? So 70 is strong. This will scale up over the 70 to 80 range. So, the closer it is to 80%. So the closer the score is to 80, the more of the share rights will vest. 100% if it is above 80, which is ranked as excellent.
What if it drops below 70? Like, does it continue to scale down?
No. Well, I mean, below 70 is nothing, so you can't have negative share rights.
Oh, it's game review metrics. Got it. Yeah, the worst game in the world is a 7 because you can't go to 6. No game is a 6.
Well, so it's
not I'm a bitter ex-game journal.
Well, no. So below 70 is so 60 to 69 is average according to at least according to the Qantas statement.
Yep.
Presumably you've got like poor and abysmal and
actively killing passengers.
Lethal below that. So according to Qantas,
cats and dogs running down the aisles.
And getting married, and all of those things. Hopefully Virgin won't have cats and dogs running down the aisles when it brings in its pets policy. So according to Qantas, this measure, quote, underlines the determination of the group to bring Qantas back to its position as one of Australia's most trusted brands. Qantas says, historically, Qantas has enjoyed a track record of monthly calculated reputation scores in the strong 70 to 79 to excellent 80-plus range. However, during financial year 23, the group experienced a fall in our reputation scores associated with significant reputational and customer service issues. While the group has made progress in the period since, the group currently remains in the average range at the end of FY25, which is 60 to 69. Nice. So according to Qantas, the goal is Qantas wants to see a sustained improvement in reputation scores. So these performance targets are set such that vesting of these share rights will only occur if the group returns into a reputation range assessed as strong to excellent by the end of the performance period. The assessment will seek to ensure that performance improvement is sustained and not achieved as a one-off by considering both monthly and rolling annual performance. Yeah. So it's not enough for, if Vanessa Hudson sort of ekes it up into 70 by the end of the period, it's got to be
sustained
for a while, or, briefly going over 70 or something like that.
I do like that the way Optus described its horrible Optus. The way Qantas. What did I say?
Qantas. Because you probably had Optus on the brain.
I do have Optus on the brain at the moment. Yeah. In terms of reputational stuff.
Yeah.
They cause all of that reputational issues. Why are you having reputational issues? Why?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that. As if reputational issues are just this thing that magically happen that no one can control.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is, I think this is a good move. This is a good move from Qantas. Yeah. Certainly it's a good PR move.
I think it's more of a good PR move. We're talking such a pay packet that, oh no, I lost a bit off my multi-million-dollar pay packet. Oh, darn.
But I mean, we all know rich people.
We all know rich people, yeah. No, I think it's a good move. The optics for it are good, and honestly, rich people do want more money.
Yes.
So anything that lights a fire underneath, management to improve the airline and its reputation, and of course, ultimately, what really matters, its service. You can't hate it.
Earlier this year, Roy Morgan ranked Qantas as the 5th most distrusted brand in Australia, but it did see some signs of recovery. Because 5th most distrusted brand is sort of a relative thing. If every brand is getting less distrusted, then you can see a rise in
most distrusted.
I think it was Woolies.
Wow,
Woolies. Yeah, it was. I can go back.
That answers it. That's fine.
Yeah, but I think it was Coles and Woolies that were at the top. And then I think the telcos.
Speaking of Optus, that seems to make sense, yeah.
Yeah. So 5th most distrusted brand, it was behind... so it was behind Woolies and Coles.
Behind or ahead of?
In terms of, levels of trust.
Gotcha.
So the most distrusted brand, I think, was Woolies.
Yep.
It was Woolies, from memory. Woolies, then Coles, then Facebook/Meta, and Optus.
Cool.
And
believable.
And then Qantas. Overall distrust score for Qantas has been improving. It's just, it's still pretty low.
Yeah.
But hopefully for Qantas, this can sort of help turn things around, because Qantas has been, to Qantas's credit, they have been making an effort to try and turn things around in terms of performance and customer service.
You say to its credit, but it's like, well, of course it does. It has to. If it wants to.
But I mean, Qantas and Virgin are a duopoly. Qantas and Virgin are the only game in town.
Yeah.
And like we say all the time, there's Jetstar, but that's just Qantas. It's Qantas. If it's not facing serious competition from Virgin.
Where's the need to be better if just by being average it can still get the job done?
Yeah, and it is the largest airline group in Australia. Yeah. So there's, obviously there's incentives for Qantas to do better, but there's not like the huge pressure to do better that you'd see in other markets,
like the American market,
like the American market. Although with the performance of some American airlines lately,
I mean, you're not wrong. A couple of years ago, I flew for the first time American Airlines, and I'd heard stories. I was shocked. Let me tell you. Like after getting used to Qantas as the bare minimum, and usually personally I fly with Emirates or Qatar sometimes when I can. But yeah, those American Airlines, wow, talk about a low bar.
American Airlines or American Airlines?
Yes.
Well, we'll talk a bit more about American Airlines later. Not American Airlines, but American Airlines.
Yeah, there's lowercase and uppercase difference in there. I'm sure you can hear it if you pay attention to the audio.
Yeah, it's very subtle, but it is there. Speaking of Australian Airlines, which was an airline, but then it folded into Qantas.
Yep.
It used to be TAA, if you
I
recall.
remember TAA, yep.
TAA, then Australian Airlines, and then it just got folded into Qantas.
Up and away.
But speaking of Australian Airlines, speaking of Australian Airlines that are not Australian Airlines, Virgin Australia. So this was this is a story that we had our new graduate Bethany look at. Bethany, fantastic new graduate that we have here.
Once she's cut her teeth in the company, like this is her literally first job out of uni. In fact, she's still at uni. But we'll absolutely be getting her on the podcast. She is a cracker.
She's very, very good. But we had her have a look at this recent study that's basically saying that Virgin is kind of looking to, depending on when you've booked with Virgin, you can get fares that are sort of comparable to Jetstar.
Yeah.
Now, normally, as you would expect, Qantas fares are highest. Jetstar is lowest, Virgin somewhere in the middle, depending on the time of booking. So, and this is across the four busiest domestic routes, which is Sydney, which is the Golden Triangle, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Sydney to Gold Coast.
Yep.
But Virgin, according to this lead researcher from the University of South Australia, Professor Shane Zhang, says Virgin adopts a selective pricing response to Jetstar. So, for travellers booking early, 28 to 60 days in advance, Virgin's fares tend to shift closest to Jetstar's. When it comes to short booking windows, so 1 to 21 days out, Virgin kind of shifts its pricing to be more in line with Qantas by focusing on points and premium and loyalty schemes. So, according to Professor Zhang, this is done to remain competitive from a business perspective, but stay a viable and preferred option to a wide range of customers.
Yeah.
And it suggests that this is this whole in-between competitive position that Virgin has sort of adopted, which we all know and love, or we all know and at least tolerate, is a response to the brand's restructure in 2020. And that saw, of course, Tiger Air closed down, which I think myself and Daniel discussed when he was the rotating guest, Adam. So Tiger got closed down, and Virgin became a formidable rival in Australia's skies after sort of leaving investigation. So, Virgin has approximately 1/3 of Australia's market. I think like Qantas Group makes up the rest. I think Jetstar by itself is 1/3 or something like that.
Yeah.
But there is potential anti-competitive behaviour. According to Professor Zhang, quote, while not illegal, tacit collusion in Australia's duopoly market is bad news for travellers, leading to inflated late booking fares. It's important that regulators monitor steep last-minute fare hikes for signs of anti-competitive behaviour and misuse of market power. According to the researchers, this pattern of airline adaptation means that Jetstar should be granted more autonomy in order to directly compete with Virgin in the domestic airspace. Professor Zhang said, quote, we're seeing the start of a more complex competition pattern. Hybrid carriers are no longer just adapting to low-cost competition. They're reshaping how fares are structured in the entire market. What's your take on the fare situation?
Well, it's funnily enough, I haven't flown domestically on my own dime for a while. So I couldn't even tell you what a domestic fare is right now. Most of my travel domestically is short hops to Canberra with Momentum for, various defence, cyber, and
On the
other
Saabs and
things.
the Q400s.
Yep. Love me a Dash 8.
And Virgin, if you're listening, would be good to get some of those E2s on the Sydney to Canberra route, maybe.
It wouldn't be bad.
It wouldn't be bad.
What is the average domestic price Sydney to Melbourne these days?
Well, let me have a. It depends on how far out you're booking.
Obviously, yes.
So Sydney, Melbourne, airfare. And again, we're doing live...
Incredible journalism
Live,
here.
incredible journalism.
Yes.
So, if you're looking to book in November, Jetstar from $121, and this is according to Google. This is on the 6th of November.
Yeah, and that's one way.
Remember the 6th of November,
yes.
the day after Gunpowder
Yes.
Treason and Plot. Virgin from 292, Qantas from 372. So that's sort of
It's quite a stark price difference.
Quite a stark price difference. But it depends on when you're booking and when you're looking to fly. I'm going down to Melbourne later next week with my partner, and we're flying on Velocity points, which shaves a fair bit off the cost. You only have to cover the fees and things like that. But it's depending on when you fly. I mean, while Rex was still around flying those domestic flights. Hello, Rex.
Yeah, we barely knew you.
We barely knew you, but I had booked a flight with Rex to go down to. I'd booked flights to go down last year to Melbourne with Rex and flying back on Virgin Australia. From memory, I think the Rex flights down were $99 on their sort of economy sort of special fare, and then you had like $129 to $139 or something back with Virgin Australia. So the Rex fares at the time were the cheapest, but we ended up going with Virgin down to Melbourne because Rex fell off.
Yes, the front fell off.
But that's what was wrong with that airline. The front's not supposed to fall off an airline. But more competition, and this always comes back to it, more competition on a route brings down airfares.
Exactly. And one thing we lack in this market is competition.
One thing we lack is competition. So it will be interesting to see if Koala Airlines, for example, can get off the ground, because they have said that they're looking to be competing on the Golden Triangle. It'll be interesting to see if this new TAA can get operational, though I think they're not looking to focus on the Golden Triangle. They were looking to focus on...
What are we going to get? Ansett back in the air?
I think the Ansett brand has been bought by that guy who made an AI-powered travel website out of it.
That's right.
So
I keep forgetting that. I know why I keep forgetting that.
And we'll talk a little bit more about AI a bit later in the show. But before we go to the break, got another story here. Perth Airport has laid out its master plan for... So the 2026 master plan has been released as a draft, which is giving us more detail on the big multi-billion-dollar infrastructure program. I note, by the way, that they're not using the $5 billion figure anymore.
Oh, that was the original cost?
Yeah, so what they were saying, a year or two ago was this is a $5 billion program, possibly more now, but I'm not entirely sure. If someone from Perth Airport wishes to,
please reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
So, have you been to Perth of late?
I have never been to Perth.
You've never been to Perth?
I regret to say, yeah. And it's something I increasingly want to tick off, just so when I say I've never been to Perth, people don't go, "You've never been to Perth." But I keep hearing that Fremantle is absolutely awesome. That it's basically like my neighbourhood, but by the sea, which sounds like the best of all possible worlds.
We went down to Fremantle briefly in January February when we were over there to go to the Maritime Museum.
Yeah.
But would have been nice to spend a bit more time in Freo.
No, I'm keen to.
But we went over in January, and of course I went briefly over earlier this month with Virgin.
Yes.
Lovely part of the world. The climate is not dissimilar to Southern California.
Oh, you know what? That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Actually, now I think about it, yeah.
But it's a very very sunny sort of sun-drenched city, sprawling. I think it's like one of the longest sort of cities.
A real coastal strip.
Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. But the trains are nice. The city is nice. It's got a nice airport line. It's got a nice airport which is undergoing some renovations. And so this airport master plan. Perth is really looking to position itself as this western gateway to Australia, this sort of hub from people coming in from Europe and Africa and out and further to the west. It's forecasting that the annual passenger numbers at Perth are going to grow from 17.48 million to 30.8 million by 2046.
Yeah.
Aircraft movements to grow from 160,800 to 222,800 per year, and air freight to get up as high as 269,000 tons, which is not a small number.
No.
And so this is what Perth Airport says is the largest private investment in infrastructure in the city's history, or at least the airport's history, and it's going to be delivered over the course of a 5-year plan. So in order... there are these 2 multi-story car parks and improvements to the road network, which are already underway. Those started in 2024.
Yep.
Next year, they're going to complete They're supposed to complete the expansion of Terminal 2. Perth's first proper airport hotel is going to be opening in 2027, operated by Accor. There's going to be this new 3,000-meter runway located parallel to the existing main runway that is expected to open in 2028. So
that is not a small thing.
Yeah,
adding
the third
a
runway.
new runway is like... That's epic.
And Melbourne is also looking to add a third runway. Of course, Sydney already has three runways, but third runway for Perth Airport.
And boy, howdy, are you not finding more room for another runway at Sydney Airport?
Yeah, no, that's why.
Unless you start reclaiming some of Botany Bay.
Yeah, thus Western
Sydney Airport.
Yes. And there's also going to be this expansion of Terminal 1 International and these new domestic terminal facilities for Qantas Group operations, which is both of these are expected to open in 2031.
Yeah.
Because currently, if you're flying into Perth with Qantas, you're actually not flying into the airport central precinct where everything is. There's these other terminals that are sort of clear across the runway, and they're not near the train station. You have to catch a bus to a different train station, and it's a whole thing. And there was, a lot of to-do and palaver, and a lot of argy-bargy and kerfuffle and other words that we like here between Perth Airport and Qantas. And eventually it has been decided that all of the operations are going to be moving to Airport Central Precinct, and so they'll be
that
everything
sounds
will
like
be all
a
together.
pretty radical shape-up of the airport operations, I've got to say.
It is, yeah. And so this is a big thing for Perth Airport. It's expected to bring in billions and billions of dollars into the WA economy.
Just what it needs, more money.
Yeah, exactly. The resources sector alone, Jason Waters, the CEO of Perth Airport, says this will unlock the full potential of the resources sector and its extraordinary pipeline of new projects worth more than $100 billion.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Perth is a big base for FIFO. But it's in terms of Perth Airport, watch this space. And if you're watching from the East Coast, maybe watch it with binoculars because it's
pretty far away.
Very far away. We're going to go for one more quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have a couple more quick stories from the week. Back in a moment. All right, welcome back. This is the Australian Aviation Podcast. Jake Nelson here with David Hollingworth taking you through the week's news. So there's a couple of things just sort of quickly to cover off here. We have had some congratulations going out to Newcastle Airport.
Oh.
Newcastle Airport
Birthday? New child?
New terminal.
New child!
Yeah.
It's a bright bouncing terminal.
Yes. So the new terminal at Newcastle Airport has officially opened after 2 years of construction. They had now this was last Thursday. So I would have loved to go to Newcastle Airport.
But you're in Honolulu.
But I was in Honolulu and also in Melbourne.
Yes.
And we did get back sort of at around 3:00 in the afternoon, and I would not have made it up to Newcastle.
No. Absolutely not.
But I've heard it was a great event. They had a flyby by some RAF jets because, of course, Newcastle Airport shares space with RAF.
Of course it does.
Williamstown.
Yep, quite a lot of military activity up there in Newcastle.
But this expands the airport to 8 gates, including the first aero bridge. It will more than double the airport's capacity. It will allow for more international traffic, including this Jetstar service to Bali that is coming next month.
Yeah.
300 people attended the event. 21 October is when the Jetstar service is coming. The arrivals hall did open to domestic passengers in July, but now this new terminal is open, and well done, Newcastle.
Yeah, bravo. Yeah.
It's a new sort of hub for the Hunter region. They're really pushing this ambition for international services into and out of the Hunter, because Newcastle, sitting here in Sydney, we don't really think much about Newcastle, but it's not a small place.
It's not a small place. So my partner was living up in Maitland for a little while, needed to get out of Sydney. And so I spent a lot of time on the train actually going up to Newcastle and surrounds. Newcastle, I hadn't been there since the 90s, going there for horribly scungy university parties.
Is there another kind?
In Newcastle, no.
Fair.
Half the buildings those parties were held in no longer exist. There's one strip, one of the main drags of Newcastle, which is pretty much all closed down buildings, but they're all being renovated. All the frontages are being preserved and new buildings going up behind. And there is Derby Street, which is just outside of the main CBD, which is this wonderful kind. It's got a real Leichhardt feel to it for anybody who knows Leichhardt in Sydney. Great bars, great food, just a really, really great feel. There's a lot to like about Newcastle. I really learned to like the place. That also could have been, Stockholm Syndrome, but who knows?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
On the subject of the RAF, congratulations to the RAF for 100 years of RAF Richmond Air Base, which is the oldest Air Force base in New South Wales.
And they had a
massive
flying day,
air show,
didn't they?
big massive air show over the weekend. Apparently, it was really, really hard to get tickets for that, but there were about 80,000 people that went over the weekend. There were static displays, there were
I used
flying
to go
displays.
out there all the time when I was a kid. My mum would take me out there because what do you do with a bored 5-year-old? Take them to watch Hercules taking off and on. And it's like, ooh, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I was one of those nerds who got accepted into the talented science student program when I was in high school. And we went to the RAF base out at Richmond. And we watched this really naff black and white video on metal fatigue. All I can remember is we got to walk around inside of a Hercules. Mm-hmm. Those things are big. Like, you look at them from the outside and you go, they're big. You get on the inside, and because it's all stripped back, you think of an aircraft that's covered in seats and niceness and luggage bins. You get inside one of these things and it's like, oh, that's how you fit a tank in here. There's just nothing. It's empty.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking of a video being like, metal fatigue, the silent killer.
You watch the same video.
Nobody knows what causes metal fatigue.
All these wonderful videos of aircraft taking off and the wings just dropping off.
Yeah.
And at one point, we had no idea that metal fatigue existed. Then we discovered it and went, oh, bugger.
Is it a natural property of metal, or is it enemy action by the nefarious Soviet Union? We have no idea.
It was like that. A bunch of 14-year-old kids going, what the hell?
Yeah, but RAF Richmond, the oldest Air Force base in New South Wales, the second oldest in Australia after Point Cook down in Victoria.
Yep.
100 years of engaging with the local community and a big air show to celebrate. Congratulations to
bravo.
the RAF on that. Congratulations to Brisbane Airport on the busiest single day in its history. So on Friday, now this was a forecast on Friday, so they estimated that more than 82,000, almost 83,000 passengers transited through the airport, which was a record driven by both the AFL and the NRL finals and the start of the New South Wales school holiday. Around 3/4 of these were domestic travellers. We had so there was the preliminary final. For the NRL in Brisbane between the Broncos and the Panthers, and of course the grand final between the Brisbane Lions and the Geelong Cats down in Melbourne. And so Brisbane-Melbourne traffic was huge, and all three of the major airlines put on extra flights. So busiest single day in Brisbane's history. Now, we were talking about this next one, and coming back to American Airlines, not American Airlines, an American airline, United Airlines.
Yes.
You've been to America quite a few times. Yep. When you get off, what do you usually have to do with your bags?
Well, one of the most annoying things is you need to deplane with your bags, drag it through the airport to the next godforsaken flight, and usually at LAX, which is hell on earth.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with TSA and the horrible experience which is going through American customs, which I can only imagine is absolutely even more terrible now. It's just not a fun experience.
Well, there is a pilot program, not a program for pilots, but a program for passengers.
Yeah.
This is on the daily United services from Sydney to San Francisco. They are testing out this new program where they basically pre-screen your bags
You
for
know,
your
like
connecting
any
flights.
other airline in the world.
So they will pre-screen your bags and they will put them through onto the connecting flights for you, and you don't have to go and retrieve your bag and drag it through customs.
Yeah.
And apparently this would save this is saving people like 45 minutes at San Francisco
It's
Airport.
nice. I can remember the first time I went to the US, which was early 2000s. I traveled throughout Europe, Japan, and other areas, and then like, oh, you got to get your bag. I'm sorry, I what?
Yeah.
And back then it was just a pile of luggage, not sorted at all, not in a carousel, and you're just like, no, yes. Yeah.
So this is a pilot program on this one route, hopefully for American passengers traveling to America. If you are game to travel from America to America over the next 3.5 years, you can go through. Hopefully, without having to get your bags, unless Customs and Border Protection decides your bag needs additional screening.
Gosh darn time. About gosh darn time is all I can say.
And our colleague as well, Daniel Croft, has put up a story on Cyber Daily. Now, this is not for Australian aviation, but briefly probably worth talking about.
We were talking about this as a real sign of things to come. This is Lufthansa, I believe.
Yes.
They're laying off people and basically replacing them with robots.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One might say.
No.
If one was wrong.
If one's right. Yeah, it's actually AI. It's another one of those AI coming to take our jobs. You're probably more read up on it than I am. So what exactly is the AI doing that the flesh bodies can't or used to?
David, I had not read up on this. I was counting on you as the Cyber Daily guy.
But it was Daniel who wrote it. I don't do everything on cyber. But no, it's basically they're bringing in they're trimming their workforce. They're bringing in I think AI customer service reps.
So 4,000 roles it says here on CNBC.
Yeah,
cutting, eliminating a total 4,000 full-time equivalent. Targeting mainly admin roles at the home base in Germany.
Now, I want to point out that a number of companies around the world have been trying this. To my favorite is Taco Bell, the fine purveyor of Mexican food in the United States, who replaced their drive-through service people with AI, which led to hilarious things like one individual ordering 14,000 paper cups. And the AI is like, absolutely. Or other things where someone just talks, the AI goes silent, 5 minutes later, yeah, hi, how can I help you? Or was it Qantas?
Now, is that the AI or is that an actual employee?
That's an actual human. Finally going, the AI is bricked, what are we doing? And I think it was Commonwealth Bank who tried that here, getting rid of help desk staff, and a couple of days later, they were just pulling in senior staff from everywhere to staff the phones because the AI was not up to task.
Yeah, I think it was Cory Doctorow who was this famous computers guy.
And author, great sci-fi writer.
Who was basically saying, like, no, AI can't take your job, but an AI salesman could convince your boss that AI can take your job, and then the AI would do your job badly, and there will be no one to do your job because you will have left the industry and don't want to go back.
Yeah, you will be jack of that and not be interested. No, I think that's entirely accurate.
Unlike any given statement from ChatGPT.
This is inarguably true. The thing is that I do believe that there are areas where AI can streamline. It can stream limes.
It can bring citrus fruit
limes
into a house.
in my stream. And make it easier for the people that work alongside it. But you need those people to realize that ChatGPT is telling you lies, or that this AI system is hallucinating, or you're about to sell 14,000 paper cups to some guy in a Pinto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not a sign of the times for Australian airlines. But
it almost certainly could be.
But we'll have to have a look out.
Yeah.
Before we go, a couple of shout-outs. Forgot to give these at the top of the show, but specifically to more people from Qantas who hosted us on the flight, to our pilots, including Camille and AJ, who flew the plane very capably and gave us some amazing entertainment as well on the way down with trivia games and tours of the Great Ocean Road and all of that. Very much appreciated. Shout out to Matt, one of the flight attendants on the Qantas A321XLR flight, and an old friend of mine from school.
Okay.
Yeah, way back in primary school, I think he was a friend of mine, and ran into him again on the flight as a flight attendant. And so shout out to Matt. Hey, Matt, if you're listening, you're on the podcast now.
G'day, Matt.
Shout out as well to Gavin, who I think 14 years old. He was not an employee of Qantas, but by gum, he was dressed like one. Something like 14-year-old plane enthusiast, all dressed up like a Qantas captain, had Qantas pins.
Australian
all
aviation reader, then I'm sure. Yes.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, that's looking to recruit
When
him.
he's old enough, he'll be in the comments abusing all of us.
This is why we get him early. Gavin, was lovely to meet you. We are so thrilled that the younger generation is looking to get into aviation. We also have a report from our former colleague Adam Thorne, your predecessor. Adam, we were talking about this last week.
We were, whether or not he was stuck in the
He
UK.
miraculously escaped the chaos at London Heathrow and the super typhoon in Hong Kong. He is back in the country, but he did apparently get a nasty cold.
If that's the worst that happened, he's doing well.
But we asked him for his trip report because he flew over with Cathay Pacific via Hong Kong. I will read it to you verbatim. He said, if you'd like to read my feedback, too many of the meals involved rice. The movie lineup was poor, but they kept bringing me beer, 4 stars.
He's a simple man.
He is.
Yes.
But hello, Adam. I know you're listening. There was your trip report. That is about all the time we have for the Australian Aviation Podcast today. As always, thank you for joining me, David. Thank you to Adam. Thank you to Qantas. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to the show. Thank you to our AV guys. Thank you to the wonderful people at Academy.
AV guy.
Yeah, thank you to the wonderful people at the Academy for making my dreams come true. I will not be here next week. I am on holiday, but we do have a special podcast coming up next week where we talk to Tom and Emma from Aspect Autism Friendly about how best to address hidden disabilities in aviation.
Oh, outstanding. That's going to be one to listen to.
Definitely one to listen to, not just for people who work in airports or on airlines, but for the general public and for people and for autistic people and people with hidden disabilities who want some information about some changes.
Tackling travel that's great. That's
absolutely.
Fantastic.
So keep an ear out for that next week, but I will be back. The two of us will be back in person in 2 weeks. Until then, that's all from me.
G'day.
And that's all from David.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.